What's up, guys? All right, for practice today, Ford, Staley, and Witherspoon will be out. And as you guys know, we moved Hurd and Verrett to IR. Go ahead.
What was Verrett's situation?
You guys all know his history and how tough he's had coming back. He had an injury in training camp, a different one, that didn't allow him to work for the last couple of weeks of practice, of training camp. We've been trying to ease him back in these last 3 weeks. After the Pittsburgh game, his knee just flared up over the week. And coming back from bye, doctor's advice said he needed to rest it a lot longer. And so we're trying to do the best thing for him because he's not ready to go. So we're trying to get him on IR.
And in terms of Hurd, does he just have to rest, or how does he get better?
It's the same thing. It's not the same thing as that, but it's the same thing as he's just got to rest. Anytime you have a stress fracture in your back, that was the hard thing with it. There's guys who come back in 3 weeks. There's guys that's taken 10 weeks. And there's just as good of a chance to come back in 3 weeks as there is 10 weeks. So we took that chance. It hasn't been healing the way we wanted it to. The pain's still there, so we got to give him at least another month. So that's the reason we got to put him on IR.
Are both of those guys candidates for short-term IR, or are those spots ticketed for Trent?
No, both of them are candidates, definitely.
Obviously, you and John acknowledge when you signed Verrett, that was a gamble based on his history. Is that just simply a gamble that it just didn't work out?
Yeah, it definitely hasn't so far. But we definitely like the player and the person we gambled on. And he's done everything he can to get back. I think the most unfortunate thing for him was when you have that much football off because of some pretty serious injuries, and then you get a pretty bad ankle sprain in your 4th or 5th day of practice. He missed all of it again, and then he's trying to come back from his normal stuff, which he had a chance to, but he had a little bit of a setback from it, and it's just put him behind the 8 ball too much. So it's a guy that we all have seen his talent, and if you've been around the guy, you definitely believe in the guy. He just didn't get the time he needed, especially with that setback in training camp, and then his knee reacting the way it did versus Pittsburgh.
Where's Ford? I know the hope was with the bye week that things would clear up. Is it not quite cleared up there?
It's definitely improving, but we're not going to put him out there today, and we'll see day to day with that. Really hoping to have him Monday night, he'll be questionable all week.
Is it something with him that he could miss a practice or two each week throughout the season?
Yeah, it definitely is something. We hope that goes away. The stuff that we've done for him and stuff, we got to ease him back into it, which we are doing. Hopefully he'll get out there possibly tomorrow, more likely on Friday, or whatever day we're on, because we have a Monday night game. I do not know what day it is.
And how about Tevin Coleman?
Tevin's good to go. He'll be out there practicing today, and we'll take a look at practice.
Is there any hesitation about putting him in this game, knowing that you guys are going to have the Rams so close on a short week?
There always is, definitely. That's why the 3 days of evaluation will be big with him and the 3 other guys. If Tevin's 100% and good to go, he's a guy we never would keep out. But it also is going to be a short week getting ready for the Rams, too, so we take all that into account.
All right, let's go.
Really?
You had a lot of guys that you're carrying that were not on IR but were not available on Sunday. Was it built up maybe where you kind of had to get some guys to IR to get healthy bodies just to make sure you could practice fully?
Not totally. That's how – I knew kind of in the middle of training camp that, especially offensively, we were kind of waiting until week 4. We knew we had to get through some tough times waiting for Trent and Jalen. And they just didn't recover the way it did. So we waited this out. We got to it, and it hasn't got enough better, so we do have to move on for now. They had the chance to return, so hopefully that will work out. But that's why we had to made the move today, bringing in Jordan.
What are you seeing from the Browns offense?
They got a lot of good players. They got a good scheme. They mix it up a ton with a lot of the stuff they do. They can with all the RPOs and things like that. And they got a lot of receivers and backs who you get the ball in their hand and they can take it the distance. So it's a challenge.
Will you have to use some specialty coverages to help Mosley against Beckham, or do you trust him to execute your base defenses?
We trust him a lot. I'm excited to see E-Man play. He's done a good job every time he's got in there. I know he'll be up to the challenge this week, going against one of the better receivers in the league in Odell and one of the better receivers in the league in Jarvis. So it obviously will be a challenge for him. It'll be a challenge for Sherm also. It's a challenge for everyone in this league. So we'll see.
What's Jimmy Ward's status, and do you have to factor in the idea of possibly making 2 changes in the secondary this week after the secondary mostly played well, or is that decision with Ward independent of what's going on at cornerback?
I mean, Jimmy's always he's the wild card because, Jimmy can help us at really every single position except for maybe D-line. I'm sure he'd find a way to do that. And he's healthier now than he has been. He's been healthy, but, his cast has gone smaller, so it's a lot easier for him to go this week. He's got the possibility to play at any spot. We'll see how practice goes and where we want to put him.
In terms of defending Myles Garrett or Olivia Vernon, you have school there. How much more do you have to scheme different plays instead of having Joe Staley there in terms of just how you're designing?
I mean, it's in your mind on every play. When you're talking about the type of rushers you're mentioning, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're gonna get guys no matter who it is. If you become one-dimensional or you give them too many opportunities, so you got to help out anybody in any situation. But especially a rookie in a second game, it'll be more of a challenge. Everyone will be watching, but he's a guy who, as I've said, doesn't change at all, and he want to be out there doing it on his own.
I assume you saw examine Garrett with just that 2017 draft. Is what you're seeing now kind of what you expected?
Yes. Yeah, he's a special player just from a talent standpoint, and he's getting better at football every single day. Watched him a lot in college, watched him a little bit last year, and then watched him a ton over the last week, and he's exactly what I think everyone thought he was going to be.
What kind of distinguishes himself from the others?
Just to have that size and fluidity and how you can move with your hips and your arms, and I think he'd be very good at any sport he'd want to play. When you have the athletic ability to play basketball, but you have the physicality to play football, it's guys they're just tough guys to block.
Kyle, kind of going back to Justin, I'm sure obviously you heard that Joe invited him back to his house, kind of help him study up for Pittsburgh and whatnot. What does that say about Joe, just from a leadership standpoint, kind of helping the young guys kind of fill in for him while he's out?
Joe's been great. Joe loves football, so I mean he's one of the guys. Everyone enjoys him, but Joe also he really enjoys football. So it kills him that he's not out. I mean that he's not in, but he tries every way in all the meetings, being out there at practice, trying to bring school over, trying to help him out. I mean he's extremely involved because he enjoys it, and it's important to him to help.
It is. I mean, we'll probably make a lot about this game being a statement game, but just being on the national stage, a chance to be 4-0 for the first time in a really long time. Is that something you even address with the team at all leading up to it?
No, I don't. I feel like there's one game left in the season, and I know that's very cliche talk, but that's what it's very important that you get your mind to that. So, I mean, that's something that if you don't, you usually get humbled very fast. So all our eyes are on Cleveland. We know we're going against a very good team. It's always more fun to play on Monday night because, everyone's watching and guys get excited for that. And so that's where it is different. But you also got to tell them besides that, it doesn't mean anything. Like if you start making stuff up because the day it's on and everything, you're not going to do the stuff that you have to do to win. So it's stuff that you don't want to talk about, but you need to address human nature and make sure guys know that or recognize when they're going that direction and try to bring them back in.
There's a report you're going to re-sign Jordan Matthews. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah.
He'll be in today practice?
Yeah, he'll be at practice. Yeah.
Is that due to some issues with the other slot receivers, Hurd and Taylor?
Yeah, it's that we only have 5 receivers on our roster right now. When we IR'd 2, we had 7. We've been going with 5, but we've been waiting for those 2. And now that both of those are on IR, to me, you always want at least 6. You'd like to always have 6 receivers up because you'll usually take 5 in the game day. And, Jordan was a guy who was extremely close to making our team. And we knew if those guys didn't come back, he'd be the next man up.
Last week you said you weren't pleased with the way the team came off the bye week last year. So this you gave a couple of extra practices. Do you like the effect that those have had on the player?
Yeah, I did. It's no matter what your mindset is. If you take a week off from shooting free throws and you're an NBA player, you're not going to be able to come back and shoot free throws very well. So, it's the same in our sport. So it's good that we got just a few more. It wasn't hard practices or anything, but just throwing the ball, coming out of the huddle and things like that. And I think our guys are a lot more mature with it too. It's earlier in the year, which is easier, but you can always tell the vibe when they come back for that Monday practice. And usually it takes a couple practices to get them going again. And our guys weren't like that. They were loud right away and moving right away. And it's been a good 2 days of it, and we'll get one more today.
How did Garoppolo use that extra time, and whether it was preparing one-on-one with you or film work?
He didn't do much with me one-on-one. We needed a break from each other. No, I'm just joking, but it's a long season, and I know he had plans to go home and see his parents, and he ended up staying here and he was up at the office a lot and relaxing and just evaluating what he's done so far.
What jumps out to you on film when you look at their receivers, OBJ, Jarvis?
I mean, they're two of the better receivers in the NFL. I mean, they have different styles, but the result's the same in terms of being at the top of their game. I mean, Odell's a freak, and the way he can move and his hands, and people do not get how tough and good of a football player Odell is also. I mean, he is physical and competes his tail off in the run game and the pass game. And Jarvis, I think everyone knows how physical Jarvis is. He's a man out there, and he gets after guys and has hands that as good as anyone's, and can make plays after the catch. So they're two of my favorite.
Sound like you like watching them on film?
Yeah, they're fun to watch, but not this week.
The run game has been going pretty well. How much of that, I mean, obviously Staley's not there, but the offensive line's pretty much intact from last year. Same guys, key blockers like Juszczyk and Kittle are still there. I mean, how much do you attribute that to continuity, everyone really understanding what's going on?
A lot. I mean, all the stuff we do isn't the easiest. We move around a lot, and it's hard to always get guys targeted, and puts a lot of stress on our players. But we got the right type of players. They don't mind the stress because they work at it all week. Today's a lot more stressful for them because you put in a bunch of stuff, and it gets a little bit easier each day. But by the time Sunday comes, I mean, you need guys who are physical and get after it, but you got to also have guys who work at it. And our O-line, our tight ends, our fullback, our running backs, they work at as hard as anyone. Our quarterback just getting us in the right run checks, and our receivers. I mean, our receivers, I think, block as well as anyone in the league. And, I mean, it takes all 11.
How important is Nick Chubb to that offense, and how good has he been so far?
He's been great. I mean, Chubb, you give that guy space and he's gone. So I think he showed that last week. He's a load to tackle, and I think that's why people sleep on him a little bit. You think he's not going to be able to run away from you, and if you take the wrong angle, he's as good at anyone in this league by taking a 5-yarder to 80.
All right.
All right, guys, thanks.